The next topic is continuing requirements. Moving on to the next topic, are items that are in the 2016 CBC that are continuing into the 2019 CBC. The special design provisions for wind and seismic document is the 2015 version, and that continues. That's the document that has all the shear wall and diaphragm requirements in the code. For Chapter 23, there is no Chapter 23A for DSA SS or DSA SS Community College. The amendments are all going to be in Chapter 23, preceded by the appropriate acronym. 2301.1.2 amendments are preceded with DSA SS, that applies to K-12, and DSA CC is community colleges. 2301.1.3 clarifies that the reference to other CBC chapters for both DSA SS and DSA SSCC. This is kind of an important piece to make sure that you get the right chapter for the other code requirements. So, for example, if you go into Chapter 19, do you go to 19A or do you go to 19? It depends on whether you have a CC or not as far as the acronym. The community colleges are generally, for new construction, are all going to use the DSA SS provisions. The only real difference between the CC provisions and the SS provisions is the CC provisions got rid of some of the durability and deterioration requirements, like weatherproofing, clearances to grade, things like that. But there is one significant difference between the CC, and that's on the retrofit of existing buildings. Normally, new buildings are designed per ASCE 7 for design loads. Existing building retrofits are done by ASCE 41, and there's a significant reduction in design requirements for community colleges in that. So that is a case where you might be likely to see the DSA CC requirements. If you do have a DSA CC requirement on the design on the plan, there should be a note on the plan saying this project complies with the DSA CC. Otherwise, the default is always that you comply with DSA SS. Continuing with the existing DSA requirements, 2303.1.3.1 and 141 specifies information to be shown on the construction documents for glue lam and cross-laminated timber. If you remember, cross-laminated timber was added to the code in the 2016 code. 2303.411.431 specify information to be shown on the documents for trusses. And 1705A55 includes special inspection requirements during the manufacture of open web trusses. 2304.3.4 item 3 and 2304.4.1 item 2 discusses holes and notching, that they must be detailed on the drawings. There are code prescription limits in 2308. But rarely do we ever want to use those numbers. Those are just limits that which you can't exceed. Typically, the designer will provide more restrictive limits because he will have to do calculations to justify all the cutting and notching and holes. And they generally don't want to provide the limits that are in 2308. 2304.10.1.1 has fastener requirements for attaching exterior wall coverings, requires hop-dit zinc-coated galvanized steel, mechanically deposited zinc-coated steel, stainless steel, silicone, bronze, or copper. I recommend you look at the definition in Chapter 2 of the Volume 1 for exterior wall coverings, defines that as the items pretty much exterior siding, exterior wood, if you get a T111, things like that.